So why is Toho Studios so important? Well, you wouldn't have Star Wars without Toho's The Hidden Fortress. You wouldn't have the Magnificent Seven without the Seven Samurai. And you wouldn't have Kaiju movies and Daikaiju movies without Godzilla. This is where it all happened, and it's pretty impressive. You can't get in, but just being here is pretty much a blast. So let's talk for a little bit about my favorite Toho movies. Okay, let's get this out of the way. The absolute best Toho movies were directed by this guy, Akira Kurosawa. Seven Samurai, Throne of Blood, The Hidden Fortress, Sanjuro, Yojimbo, and many others. If you haven't seen them, do yourself a favour and check them out and binge them. You'll thank me later. But the ones I'm focusing on today are the Toho Tokusatsu movies. And to tell you about them, we have to define some terms. I'll make it quick. First term, Tokusatsu. That's simple. It means special filming. A movie that relies heavily on special effects. Toho embraced science fiction, fantasy, and horror movies at a time when Hollywood was concentrating on westerns, film noir, and biblical epics. Suitmation. Using a person, usually a man, in a rubber suit as the monster, like this guy. Kaiju. A mysterious or strange beast. The term is much older than you think, and it was first used in a text called Classics of Mountains and Seas. The earliest version of Classics of Mountains and Seas came from China in the 4th century BCE. So kaiju as an idea is about 2,500 years old. Daikaiju, big kaiju. These are the ones people think about when they say kaiju. Godzilla, Mothra, Rodan, Ghidorah, Biollante, and Gamera were all Daikaiju. KAIJIN, humanoid kaiju. Technically speaking, the Invisible Man and the Wolfman are KAIJIN. However, Daimajin, the giant statue that comes to life in the Daimajin trilogy, is both a KAIJIN and a Daikaiju. So definitions are broad at times. However, the Daimajin trilogy was made by Daiei Films, not Toho. Saijin, star beings, extraterrestrials. In this kind of movie, they're usually not very friendly. So now that we know what we're talking about, here are my favourite Toho Tokusatsu movies. Directed by the king of Tokusatsu movie directors, Ishiro Honda, Godzilla was a movie that could only be made in a country that knew what it was like to be bombed by nuclear weapons. Before we go on, please avoid the American version of this movie with the Raymond Burr inserts. That version has only 40% of the original film footage and loses a lot of the context. The original 1954 Godzilla is, and was designed to be, an explicit metaphor for nuclear weapons. Japan's recent history enabled Honda to give a viscerally real feeling to the reactions of the people affected by Godzilla's rampage. The horrors of Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and the irradiation of the Lucky Dragon 5 fishing boat on the Bikini Atoll in 1954 are at the heart of this movie. From his destructive rampage through the countryside and the cities of Japan, to his nuclear breath and the radiation that lingered in his wake, Honda designed Godzilla to be more weapon than animal, an implacable mountainous result of American underwater hydrogen bomb testing. The model work is first rate in this movie, and it's easy to forget that the Daikaiju is a man in a rubber suit. From the 1954 original movie to the upcoming 2019 Legendary Pictures produced Godzilla King of the Monsters, Godzilla has become a part of pop culture, an enduring and instantly recognizable symbol of nature striking back against human folly. A murder mystery with a science fiction twist, The Secret of the KAIJIN is a hidden gem of tokusatsu movies. With stylized sets compensating for a relatively low budget, it, like Godzilla, is influenced by the end of World War II, but in a very different way. In the movie in 1945, a group of Japanese soldiers are tasked with protecting a scientist and his electronic warfare experiments as the war ends. Betrayed by the other soldiers, a corporal called Pseudo escapes a cave-in with the scientist and hides on a farm near an active volcano where the scientist, Professor Niki, is developing a teleportation device. Pseudo, now calling himself Goro Nakamoto, uses this device to wreak revenge on his fellow soldiers. Meanwhile, the usual team of a reporter and the police try to stop whatever it is that's mysteriously killing seemingly random men in Tokyo. Along with some nightclub scenes of WTF wonderfulness, which parallel the weird nightclubs we get in many of Nikatsu Studios' gangster movies, The Secret of the KAIJIN has a creepiness all its own. It's a story about a breakthrough technology being put to a hateful purpose, and that's something with which we're all familiar. Matango is a deeply weird movie. A yacht full of various characters gets lost in a storm and reaches an uncharted island after some ukulele playing and singing. While looking for food and water on the island, the crew and passengers find a shipwreck but no sign of survivors. Tensions increase between the castaways as they explore their new environment. Now, I'm not giving you the English language title of this movie because the title itself is a spoiler. However, there is another nightclub scene, a great one where a guy hallucinates a nightclub cabaret while under the influence of the mysterious Matango. The frame story around this movie is a bit predictable, but is very satisfying, almost like cinematic comfort food. There's not much metaphor or subtext in this one, but the movie was almost banned in Japan because some of the people affected by Matango resemble the burn victims from Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the Japanese government was pretty sensitive about that at the time. Like Godzilla, Ishiro Honda's Mothra sits under the shadow of nuclear weapons radiation. A group of sailors are marooned on an island where nuclear tests occurred, but when they're rescued they show no signs of radiation sickness. The sailors attribute this to a drink given to them by the natives of the island. A new expedition explores the island and finds vampiric vines and two tiny women, the Shobujin, who ask that the island be spared further nuclear testing. The expedition takes the message back to civilization, but one of them, a capitalist called Nelson, goes back to the island and kidnaps the Shobujin, who he puts in a nightclub act. Toho loves nightclubs. The Shobujin are played by identical twin singers Yumi and Emi Ito, and they sing to telepathically summon their god, a giant egg called Mothra. The egg hatches and into a caterpillar, which attacks Tokyo, then cocoons itself on the ruins of the Tokyo Tower before it emerges as a full-blown Mothra. Again, the model work is on point, and the puppet work on Mothra itself is really effective, and this movie also has the advantage of being child-friendly. This is what I call a BDF movie. Big, dumb fun. A group of aliens called the Kilax, who, because they're aliens in a Toho Tokusatsu movie, decide to conquer the Earth by taking control of all the Daikaiju and getting them to mess shit up. The monsters are being sequestered on an island called Monsterland, southeast of Japan, and the aliens then send them off on a rampage. When the Kilax take over the monsters, Godzilla goes postal on New York City, Rodan trashes Moscow, a larval version of Mothra takes care of Beijing, Gorosaurus does Paris, and Manda attacks London. As the battle continues, we also get King Ghidorah turning up, along with Manila, Anguirus, and Kumonga. This is the Avengers Infinity War of 1960s Daikaiju movies. Everyone shows up and is on like Donkey Kong. I saw this at the Rockdale Odeon when I was a kid and I loved it. And rewatching it now, it still has that crazy Toho Kaiju charm about it. Sympathetic monsters aren't anything new in cinema, even at the time this movie came out. This 1960 KAIJIN movie gives us a librarian called Mizuno, played by Yoshio Tsushima, who loves a traditional Japanese dancer Kasuga, played by Kaoru Yachigusa. Mizuno has some problems. He has lung cancer, but he's been put through a scientific experiment by Dr. Sano, which gives him the ability to become a human vapor. Mizuno is robbing banks to help Kasuga with her career as a dancer. He taunts and mocks the police. He is interviewed by journalists and kills people who try to stop him by suffocating them while in his gaseous form. He's very much an anti-hero, partly because romantic heroes don't usually turn into gas and suffocate people who piss them off. Again directed by Ishiro Honda, the human vapor sells the premise with some good optical and practical effects work and a surprisingly touching tragic love story at the heart of the movie. This 2016 Godzilla reboot by Toho has a lot going on. We see Godzilla evolve every time he's attacked by the military. Political inertia and international relations play a big part in the way the menace is handled. And the combination of suitmation and computer effects gives us a Godzilla which is larger than any previous version and is truly awe-inspiring. This one is also a reaction to the 2014 earthquake in eastern Japan, which resulted in the Fukushima nuclear disaster, which is still being dealt with. When I was in Japan last week, they were only just then removing the first fuel rods from the reactor, and there are hundreds of those fuel rods. This is a long-term project. In Shin Godzilla, we get mind-boggling action as well. Godzilla is attacked by bunker-busting bombs. Super-fast Shinkansen trains are turned into explosive drones to attack him. And the evolution of Godzilla as it adapts to the assaults make this one of my top 3 Toho Tokusatsu movies. It is mind-blowingly good, and the effects work is really mind-boggling. Latitude Zero is a weird mashup of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Lost Horizon. Based on a radio series by screenwriter Ted Sherderman, we have Joseph Cotton playing Captain Craig Mackenzie, a 200-year-old captain of a super submarine Alpha, who picks up 3 guys trapped in a bathysphere, including Richard Jekyll's journalist Perry Lawton. Mackenzie takes the rescued surface dwellers to his city, Utopia, which exists 15 miles under the ocean where the equator meets the international dateline. And no, I'm not making this up. The Alpha gets attacked by the Black Shark, a submarine helmed by Cesar Romero's evil Dr. Malik, who, with his lover Lucretia, played by Patricia Medina, Joseph Cotton's wife, wants to defeat Latitude Zero using giant anthropomorphic bats and a lion with eagle wings grafted on it, into which he transplants the brain of his female assistant Kurio. Directed again by Ishiro Honda, this movie is an insane adventure flick filled with aging Hollywood stars and Toho's quaint but beautiful special effects work. I've seen this movie twice, and it grows on me. It's fun, it's unique, and it is utterly insane. So that's it this time around. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you want me to do a video on Kurosawa's movies for Toho, particularly the classic ones. Please like, subscribe and hit the notification bell, and leave a comment letting me know what your favourite Toho Tokusatsu movie is. I apologise if I've mispronounced any names during the making of this video. I'll see you guys next time.